God, what a
with the will of a man and the heart of a child on Michigan Gone Wild.
Arizona, Kansas, this is my first
Michigan Gone Wild. Michigan Gone Wild.
Hey folks, and thanks for tuning into this episode of Michigan Gone Wild. On today's episode, we're going after big fish on small water. We're targeting big bluegill and bass on a small inland lake here in northern Michigan. Now the nice thing about early summertime fishing for bass and for bluegill is you can go out and do it with minimal tackle. You don't need an expensive boat or any kind of equipment like that. You can go out with a fly rod. We've got conventional tackle. We'll be using some worms as well and try to get in on some of these big fish on a beautiful northern Michigan morning. So stay tuned.
We want to go for the weeds there. Another nice gill. And they were just like little darters. There's a little bit of structure out there, just a little bit deeper. I can see it out in the water there, and I've been throwing it the last 2 times, and that's where I picked up those fish on back-to-back casts. Let's see if there's another one in there. There's a really little one. And he's off. Oh, that was a hit.
All right, we've been working the shallow water a little bit, and this is a good mid-sized gill. Came up and just obliterated it. These poppers are so much fun to fish because it's top water. You can see the strike and it's exciting, and sometimes they come clear out of the water like this one did, and just put up a really good fight, especially on a 3-weight fly rod. It's just a lot of fun. You can't really have a better morning than spending a morning in shallow water picking up gills like this and even bigger on a fly rod. So it's a lot of fun. We're going to get them back in here. This is a catch and release lake only, and there's a number of them throughout the state of Michigan here that you can come out, and they've got really good fish population, and normally can get into a little bit bigger fish. So we're going to get this guy back and go after his big brother. All right, now what I'm using this morning is a black popper, just a small size popper, which is good for gills. And you can even catch bass on these things. But I like to use the leggy poppers. Now you can get poppers that have the foam body and a hackle for a tail, and those work too. I pick up gills with those as well. But something about having some rubber legs on there really makes a difference a lot of times and inspires a few more strikes. And typically I have better luck with them. So I like to get the leggy poppers. I'll show you here in just a second. Once I get her tied on, you can see there I've got some just kind of white rubber legs coming off the back. And that just gives it a little extra action and makes it a little more attractive to the fish. Now you can get these things just about anywhere. They're generic poppers. You don't need to go to a specialty fly shop. I picked these ones up at Jay's Sporting Goods there in Gaylord, Michigan. That's where I normally pick up my poppers and flies and that sort of thing. And they've got a wide selection of these. They've got leggy poppers and hackle poppers and all kinds of stuff like that. But I like to go with these. They've been paying off. I've caught a number of gills on them already this morning and lost one on a gill in there. So hopefully I'll be able to go catch him back and get my popper back. They're coming right for me. Come here, fella. Another nice gill. This one's a little bit smaller, but still a lot of fun to catch. And these things are pretty. They just put up a fun fight. And they're good ones. Boy, he really demolished that one. Deuces. Alright, now as you can see, like I mentioned, there's a lot of weeds behind me. I'm actually standing right in the weeds, casting to a little cove here. And I just want to take my cast up to about noon and pitch it back out there. So we're talking 10 and noon, 10 and midnight. And just let it go. It'll take your slack line out and then just start popping it back. But going up only to, there we go, oh man, I missed it. But going up only to about straight up ahead of you, that'll keep you out of the weeds behind you. And you'll spend more time catching fish and less time tangling up in the weeds. And my popper's gone. That gill's got my popper. I'm going to catch him and get both of them. Yeah, that was not too bad. Another nice little gill there.
He's got shoulders. He's not big.
One of the most common ways to approach bluegill fishing is worm and bobber, and a lot of people like throwing worm and bobber for bluegill because you can catch gills all day. It's a lot of fun. It's a great way to get kids into fishing. Well, I decided to try the same thing, only with my fly rod, and what I've got is a thingamabobber strike indicator, and about 18 inches under that is just a little copper wire worm imitator. Looks like a little red worm. And I tossed it up in there, and just like worm and bobber fishing, you throw it up in there, wait for your strike indicator to go down, and the gills go nuts over these little guys. These little wire worms are super effective on these, and it's just another approach to do something different to go after the bluegill. Like a nice one.
It's a nice one.
Ooh, that is a nice one. Holy cow.
That's a monster right there. Just tossing a little white jig out there, popper out there. Not going very deep at all, and they just love this stuff. And they are fun to catch.
This is another nice one. Oh yeah. Look at that one right there. You know, we've caught a mess of these really, really nice bluegills, and it's just making the day well worth it. We've had to sift through the little ones too, but I mean, Al caught a giant just a couple minutes ago, and here's another one to add to that collection, so I'll let him back. There he is.
A nice little gill. It's about the size on average that we're catching, is probably 7 to 8 inch. Nice hefty gills, and then within that we're catching a bunch of bigger ones as well. But it's just fun, just non-stop, kind of go and go and go. You throw it out there, pop a couple times, and you get into them. And you really can't have a better morning than to be able to come out and catch 30 to 40 fish in a couple of hours. It's just a lot of fun, and you know, getting in and wading in like this, it's easy, and just a nice relaxing way to fish. Make it count.
Had to jinx me, didn't you?
Hey, another double.
I got one.
There we go.
Alvin whipped me
Wow.
with that one.
Trophies. That one's pretty good. There's one. I think he's just a little guy. Yep.
This guy's not near as big as the last one, but he still is a fun catch. again, well, I'll tell you what, you just can't beat this kind of fishing. Kind of one after another. This was right behind the last one, so again, same thing, little white popper and tearing them up here. Nice release.
All right. Now this is a catch and release only lake, and there are a few of these around the state. And it's really nice because you can come out here and get into some big gills like Dad just got into. Now, there are a lot of areas where you'll catch small gills, but you show potential in these kind of lakes to catch master angler sized gills. I'm talking 12 to 14 inch gills. I don't know if we got a measure on that one, but that had to be all of 12 inches. And you've got the opportunity on lakes like this to wade out and get into really big fish in a really fun fight, and there's nothing that can beat that. Fish on.
Like a little bass.
Yeah? Oh yeah.
So it jumped right in the little bit of sunlight I had. Oh yeah. Little bass.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at that. There's another one back to back, not 2 minutes later. Threw it out there, and these things, when they get up in the shallows like this, they're just so much fun. Just non-stop action, non-stop excitement, and they definitely put a good fight in. I love the way bluegill fight. Nice. Oh, he got off. Darn it, that was a nice one too. You know, these gills, they're a lot of fun, and throwing these poppers is, I love it fly fishing, because, you know, fly fishing for bluegill is really pretty easy compared to, you know, like trout or salmon or some of the other species. But there are a few specific things you want to do that will help to entice a strike, even on a gill, even when they're as hungry as they are. And what I like to do is throw it out there, get it where I want it, where I think the fish are going to be, and start popping it back. And you don't want to just give it a bunch of real aggressive pops. 1 or 2 quick jerks and then let it sit. Normally after it sits for about 10 to 15 seconds, that's when you'll get the strike. Now sometimes they're hungry, they'll hit it the minute it hits the water. But generally when you're popper fishing, you want to let it drop, give it a couple jerks, and let it sit, and then your strike will come. Just like that one did. No wonder you lost my popper.
Right?
All All right, we've had a great morning on the water today. We've caught a tremendous amount of bluegill, just gorgeous fish out here. We were going after bluegill and bass. We caught a few bass, smaller ones, but really we were in here to target these big bluegill. And in some of these lakes, the bluegill population get so enormous and just such big, beautiful fish that we couldn't help but keep going after them. Now, the best part about this today, folks, is we were out here on public land here in northern Michigan. We're out here fishing a lake where anybody can get to. It's easy to get to, and you can come out and do it. So we're out here doing it, and I think you should too. Folks, thanks for tuning in. I'm Jordan Kettlewell from Michigan Gone Wild. Get wild and stay wild.
Michigan, it's Michigan Gone Wild here in Michigan, where the back roads run for miles and miles with the will of a man and the heart of a child on Michigan Gone Wild. Michigan Gone Wild. Michigan Gone Wild.